Hello, 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 it's Sade Camille, and welcome to another episode of the From Her View podcast. And I'm excited as always for a good old fashioned podcast. And today's topic is called the pivot. So just recently, my daughter had her experience with her first job loss. And within that, she was just feeling super defeated and just super oh my God, what am I gonna do? This and that. And so I came at the topic in a different way because normally you lose your job and you'll just try to get another one. Well, luckily for her, she's in the confines of I still live with my mom. My mom still is the person that supports me. So I have a little bit more of a wiggle room as far as what I can do. So while she did this completely unsolicited by myself. She just took the initiative as soon as she was able to start working and started working and has never looked back, has had it where she has had two jobs for, you know, quite a while, and very proud of her initiative. There were certain areas that she did not take good initiative in. And it wasn't because she didn't have the information, she just didn't understand the necessity of that information and wasn't able to apply it. And I informed her this is something that I did not get at your age. This took me literally a majority of this information I have consumed in the past 4 years. So it's not like I've had time and time and time and time again to do this. Like I've had a short amount of time to really do this thing, perfect it, learn it. Still have a little bit of kinks in some areas with some things, but one thing that I know that I can do, that if I'm down bad, I'm always going to figure out a way how to not be down bad. And so that's where the pivot came into play. There was a few specific things that she needed to work on that I advised, hey, you might want to take this time to really take a look at these specific areas. And these specific areas are going to help you tremendously in your efforts when it comes to looking for a job again, getting ready for school, because if you can master these now, you're going to be unstoppable. And those two things are going to be time management, effective communication. So with, and I'll add a third one in there, which is personal image. So we're going to do time management, effective communication, and personal image. When you are embarking in this world, there's some things that we say that are super dated and we aren't our grandmas, we're not our grandpas, we're not our parents, when it comes to the work world. And that is very true. But there are still some cornerstone things that as a society, we just need these things in order to have a little bit of harmony, consistency. And that is being respectful of time management, and effective communication and personal image. Like those are three non-negotiable things when it comes to the working world. I don't care what you say. Don't argue with me. Go argue with your mama because it is what it is at this point. With that being said, I've had it where I just couldn't wake up. And that was her issue. She just you know, couldn't wake up or didn't realize that she needed to be at the specific place and things like that. Now, there are some old school ways in how to effectively manage your time, but there are also new age ways to do that as well because we have the use of so many media things as in the matter of having a whole computer in your pocket at all times, and us not taking full advantage of that when it comes to using it as a tool to better ourselves instead of using it as a prisoner to keep us locked up and drained in so many capacities as far as not hitting our fullest potential. So she's 18, she's got 3 months left in school, And I said, look, I don't think it's going to take you the full 3 months, but it's going to take you some time for you to master this because you want to go to college. You want to have a job in a specific field doing a specific thing, and you want that job to be able to afford for you to pursue your passions, to leverage it as your job being your first investor. There's certain things that you're just going to have to do. It's called pay to play. And even though it doesn't sound sexy, it is what it is. It's the pay to play. So with that being said, there were some crucial things that I needed her to understand. And I have language for this concept because of atomic habits. And it boils down to this simply. Um, we have a series of patterns, series of things that we do on any given day faithfully. And we are hardwired to do these things, or they're things that we just picked up along the way, and now they are a part of our repertoire of things we do. Good, bad, indifferent. This is how we go through our day. Um, I have it where I'm at my most productive self, and I have it where I'm at my low production self. And when you know yourself, you know when you're doing when you're falling into your bad habits, and then things to kind of curb you to get yourself back on track. And that's actually something that I'm going through right now. So it's very befitting that she had this happen to her. And then I also was in awareness like, stranger, stranger, danger, danger, girl, you falling off. And it was a good opportunity for us to come together and not necessarily devise the plan, but for her to get full understanding of where I'm coming from as an outside looking in, as a person that loves her, obviously, because I'm her mom, but in a situation where, from her view podcast, I've said it once, I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face, child. This is a love letter to my children. This is a love letter to myself. These are things that I wish somebody would just sit down, broke down with me, to me, and helped me be successful. Um, a lot of the times, your edge is understanding patterns, understanding the fact that we have a specific social construct and it's inherent. It's not going to change. There might be little tweakings to it, and there might be like, oh, this new age, this old age. But guess what? At the end of the day, they're very much rooted in pillars and things that are just not going to go away. Um, One of the things that is placated to us is it's not important, or placated to us that it is important, but not the right type, is information. Information is the true currency. Once you learn something, no one can ever take that information from you. They can take $5, but they can never take your ability to make $5. Like sitting in this moment right now, I know that, okay, if I wanted to get another job right now, an additional job or a different job, I know exactly what to do because I literally have a skill set like Thanos was over here collecting rings, so I'm not without opportunities. And thankfully enough, surprisingly enough, I don't feel bombarded or overwhelmed with the fact that I do have so many different skill sets and avenues. I actually feel more empowered than anything, because I can take those and I can go anywhere with them because this is a set of knowledge that no one can take from me. Now, yes, there's some licensing involved and this, that, and the third, and a little bit of schooling that I would have to do, but the core knowledge is not a miss for me. I still know that information. So by me still knowing that information, I'll have zero problem with me hitting a specific terrain and being able to come out from the ashes from that point. And that's the whole point of the pivot. You're having a time management issue, you can't seem to do this or to do that. Look at your habits. Look at your habits. I got to a point where I felt like, man, it's just not enough hours in the day. The enemy will trick you to make you think that there's not enough hours in the day for you to accomplish or for you to do any of the things that you want to do, but that is actually a whole lot. You have 24 hours a day. I literally have on my tablet 24-hour calendar where I go through, color code it, highlight it, and I see the blocks of, okay, you need to make sure that you're getting 8 hours of sleep. What does 8 hours of sleep look like for the day? To effectively manage my time, my phone is set up for such. So my phone is set up to have a bedtime alarm. So for my off days, it has a specific bedtime alarm. For the days that I'm working, it has a specific bedtime alarm. So literally for every single day. That's important because sometimes you'll wake up and you'll feel like, oh man, I just didn't get enough sleep. When in actuality, you got a great amount of sleep. You got good 8.5 hours. You got a little bit extra than you needed. And then you go back to lay down, and then you're like even more tired. And then now you have 10 hours of sleep, and you just missed out on a good 2 hours of you getting your day started. So now you're back behind 2 hours. That's how you have to look at time. That is you happening. That is a prime example. What I just gave is the day happening to you and you not happening to your day. I've decided that, you know, every dog's going to have their day. Okay. The ultimate goal is to be as consistent and as disciplined as possible. But if I can recognize when I am not being my ultimate self, I have to be able to ring myself back in. And that is what reminders, calendars, that's what all those things do. They help to remind you of the things that you have going on. And if you're not doing those things, then you are missing out on a lot more time for productivity. Case in point, you have to factor in how long it takes you to get ready. So you have like certain habits in the day. A lot of people wake up, their alarm goes off, and they lay in bed a little bit longer than they normally would. Just to like kind of, I'm awake. Let me hype myself up for this. Okay, I'm in the bed. I can do this. Okay, let me get up. Some people have a little bit of a ritual like that. I do as well, where I'm just like, okay, let me just close my eyes for like a little, like 5 more minutes, and then I'll be ready. Just give me 5 more minutes. But sometimes those 5 more minutes go into 2 hours, so you gotta be smart about it. That would mean I would need to set another reminder to wake me up again. But with that being said, whatever your rituals are for the morning, how you do those things. So I have it where, I know if I need to, because I'm a slow starter to my day, I need to get up 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes before I actually really need to start getting ready, because I won't feel so constricted with the fact that I have all these other things going on, or I won't feel pressed for time. When I do this, I leave home on time. I get to where my destination's on time. I have a more productive day because I know myself. A part of the pivot is knowing yourself. You have to know yourself good, bad, and indifferent. This ties in to Sun Tzu's The Art of War, and he says the one who wins is the one who knows himself and who knows his enemy. So honestly, it's a you versus you type thing. Okay, I need to know who my ideal self is, how my ideal self operates, and how my low level self operates, where I'm sluggish and I'm just sleeping and I'm just existing and I'm like not motivated and I'm not working out. And I mean, I'm eating okay, but I'm not eating as much as I need to. I'm not getting as much protein as I need to. I'm getting too much sleep. I'm consuming all the wrong things. And I have to be aware of, okay, how do I pull myself out of that? That's a part of pivoting. And some of us stay down bad too dang long. And it's something as simple as time management. So I told myself, I'm like, okay, get your calendar out. Let yourself see it. Like when you can quantitatively see time, I mean, we can't really see time. Like you can have a stand up time clock or whatever the case may be. But when I'm doing my 24-hour calendar and I actually see time, I see all those gaps and opportunities for me to create, for me to go to the gym, for me to spend time with my kids, for me to clean up, for me to, focus on something that I want to do for myself, for me to go on a little date by myself, you know what I'm saying? For you have to account for those things. So when I effectively know these things about myself, what does it happen? Now, this is where the 12-week year comes into play. If you've read the book, if you've not, I'm paraphrasing it. There is a portion in the book where he talks about a team, a sports team. I want to say they were a cycling team. I believe it was a cycling team. But I think this is applicable to any sort of athletic team once you think about it. And he said that they were one of the worst. They just weren't winning. They just weren't doing as well as they wanted to do. And one of the ways that they went in trying to combat that was actually taking the time and looking at all of their habits. So they had a doctor teach them how to properly wash their hands so that would minimize people getting sick. They bought the best aerodynamic. It had to be cycling because I feel like there were seats for the bike. They did a lot of things that would, the best beds for you to get the best amount of sleep, um, the best stretching techniques so they wouldn't be injured. Like all this research went in to the ultimate goal. So these were steps to a specific destination. It's like going home. And that's what the conversation of time management was happening with my daughter, where her destination was waking up on time or getting to school on time. And so her answer was get up early enough to get to school on time. And I was like, actually, it's a little bit more in depth than that. Because I am observant, and I really don't attribute it to anything else other than that. I mean, I could say, oh, because I'm your mother, but honestly, it's probably twofold. I'm observant and I'm a mother. But I know that, she has a morning routine. And there are things that I know from just being a woman about a morning routine that there's just like certain things that you can't do. So when you have a specific type of hairstyle, if it's not a take the bonnet off and go type situation, you spend about 20 minutes at the beginning of your day trying to like get yourself together. Well, what if you spent 20 minutes doing another ritual? That's 40 minutes. That's 40 minutes of you doing another ritual, two rituals for your day, okay? And you still have to get dressed. You still have to brush your teeth, wash your face, hygiene still has to be a part of that. We haven't even got to that yet. We're still on hair and a morning ritual, and that's 40 minutes. So I said, okay, you have to get a different hairstyle. And she was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, girl, like, we're just gonna have to do something different with your hair because that is taking too much time because the style that you want to wear is just not practical for you. And it's taking you more time because it's not practical. It's not practical because, girl, you got back-to-back gym classes. So you're working out 2 hours a day and you're still trying to look presentable for the rest of the day. It's just not working. You need a protective hairstyle. You need something where like your hair is done, you wake up, you pull that bonnet off, and shake and go, spritz, spritz, and you're good to go. It's no fuss, no muss. Okay. It's not going to be the end all be all. This is how I'm going to wear my hair and this is it. But you have to think about what is going to help you be more effective. There's so many things that we can't control, and there's so many things that we can. If we focus on the things that we can control, that is where our success is more prominent. I can't control when I start work. Not now, anyway. Not when I'm reporting somewhere else. I can't control that. What I can control is making sure that I cut the TV off, I cut everything off 20 minutes before my bedtime. Like, I've been so committed to this that you don't understand how your habits do affect you. I literally have not had caffeine coffee in over a year. In over a year. Because I was like, man, I'm really having a hard time going to sleep. Now, mind you, I think I was working full time, working part time, and going to school part time. So I think I had like just a whole bunch of things going on. I do that sometimes. I really hit the pavement hard. I do that. Still kind of am doing that, but whatever. And I'm doing that, and I'm drinking a lot of coffee and energy drinks to kind of like supplement the fact that I'm not getting adequate amount of sleep, to the point where there is a time for me to get to sleep, or when it is time for me to go to sleep, I could not fall asleep. I was like popping melatonin like it was candy, and I still could not go to sleep. The sleep was not happening to me. I was restless. And it was because like I was my caffeine intake was ridiculous. Point blank period. My caffeine intake was ridiculous, and I had to take a step back from it. Now, was it super easy? No. No, it's not. No, it's not easy at all whatsoever. Um, but it was something that I know that I needed to do. I have a lot of goals that require a sober mind, that require clarity. And I can't have clarity if I'm not giving myself a chance at rest. And that coincides with your time management. With your time management, another thing would be the effective communication. So a lot of people think just because you're speaking words and a person hears you that you have effectively communicated. And that's actually not true. A person's understanding of what you said is effective communication. I can hear somebody read in Chinese and I heard them, but it doesn't mean that I understood them. And something that makes it a little bit easier to understand is I really equate it to reading and reading with comprehension. I will read something and I read it, but I would have to read it a couple times, even more so to fully comprehend the author's intended message. And so is life. We've kind of are in this weird place where people don't necessarily communicate as effectively as they should or in a proper manner. Uh, there's some conversations that you have to have, and it's just by way of communication. So for this particular situation, um, it was more of an understanding of you know where I'm supposed to be, so that's it. Where it's like, no, like I'm still responsible for you. You need to communicate where you're at because I'm gonna have to like call in the cavalry if I'm trying to call you and I can't find you. You feel me? So you might want to communicate effectively. And those are conversations that you have to have. In order to pivot, you have to have excellent communication skills. That means saying what you need to say in a concise way, in a digestible way, in order for your message to be heard. What does that look like? That looks like taking a step back, calming yourself, and saying it out loud to yourself, or thinking about it. There's a lot of times where I have conversation where I kind of like pause and I like look up because it's like I'm like searching for the words in the sky to say because I know that the way that I said it in my head is not necessarily befitting for the situation. Some people can't take direct. or bluntness. I'm a person where it's just like, just tell me straight up. Like, just say what you need to say, okay, and let's be done with it. Um, where a lot of people can't take information in that way. So that's a way to effectively communicate is knowing who your audience is and what you can say, what you can't say, but still get your message delivered. So that's a huge point. And then we have our personal image. So, being from the cosmetology industry, being an educator, that is a topic that I've taught time and time again. And it's something that I wish were a part of regular high school curriculum because it needs to be a thing. A lot of the teenagers nowadays, um, I could say, my generation was probably definitely a part of it, but wearing just like straight up like pajamas and like sweatpants and stuff like that. Like I would say that my generation, class of '06, yeah, we definitely was out here pajama pants out. Like me, not me personally, not me personally, but wearing pajama pants and hoodies was definitely a thing. But mastering your personal image when you're on that precipice of embarking in the real world is kind of huge because you want people to take you seriously. That also kind of falls in line with your communication. That's taking a step and saying, okay, I'm a person who likes comfort. Well, how can I make comfort chic and affordable? You have to look at things in that way. Being in cosmetology and relaying that message is quite different than it is in being in any other industry because we are in the beauty industry. And it's not to say that every person that was in the beauty industry was like donned head to toe and makeup and glammed up and everything like that. Not necessarily the case. But you had to be presentable when it came to, okay, are your nails manicured? Is your hair done? Do you have on, nice, presentable clothing? The color of choice had always been all black everything. So I have tons and tons of black clothes, and I don't wear them as much. But thinking of that. So this was a conversation that I was having with her where I'm like, look, I'm just gonna have to help you because you're not gonna figure this out on your own. And I want you to be successful. I don't want for you to lose your individuality, but I want you to put together things that you like that looks presentable. So we had it to a point where she has this very specific interview outfit. Like, this is your outfit that you wear for interviews. So she had one and didn't wear it. And I'm like, girlfriend, how you present yourself matters. This is still the pay to play. Now, I did see on, what was that? I don't know if it was TikTok or Instagram or wherever the original posting originated from, but it was on social media about a young lady who went to a job interview and the interviewer was like letting her know like would you like to change, you know who comes to an interview in shorts and then gets upset on the internet like what's wrong with my outfit? Shorts is not the attire for an interview if you're trying to be taken seriously, especially if you're trying to interview somewhere where it's corporate or you're doing something administratively like shorts sometimes as a woman low key. I remember I went to an interview and I had on a dress and loafers, and the guy did not take me seriously at all. He was like, girl, you got on this dress and this loafers, like, no. And that's just because I don't I it's just the way that I I look. I can't help the way that I look. But it's just the way that I look. I get perceived as she can't do it, and you know, perception is your reality. Perception is not my reality. Your perception is not my reality. But whatever the case may be, take some time for your personal image. But what I would say is when all those things are together, okay, when you're like, okay, I have hacked the code and how to make sure I wake myself up on time and get myself ready and get myself out the door. And I will say she's been a little bit good at this. She getting good at this. Like she understands it now. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz and like seeing behind the veil, and you're like, word? That's what it's like. It's once you understand and know the information, it's like plug and play, plug and play, plug and play, plug and play. The pivot would be like 18, obviously 18 and like no high school having to do. She would be in a good place to do whatever she want. But if I was in a position where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a gap year, this is the job that I was working, I lost it, I would immediately go to a temp agency. People like to, I don't know, miss out or forget that as an option, but temp agency is going into a warehouse to work at 18, making, 20 plus dollars an hour is actually very good for 18, considering that some people didn't, start, well, first of all, wages, cost of living, there's a lot of multiple factors in that. But even in still, warehouses were paying more than like the average introductory job that you would get as a teenager anyway. The main thing is you just have to be 18. Once you become 18, there's a lot more options. And then I was explaining to her, like, the world is your oyster when you're 18. When you're 18 and you have full command of your schedule, the world is your oyster. Now, I am not 18. The world is still my oyster, but it's a little bit trickier than that because it's within the confines of all my other obligations. And I'm completely okay with that. I've kind of finally found that sweet spot in me being able to do the things that I want to do, still get the things that I need to get done, and what that looks like for my life. The main point is you have to be able to pivot. And one of the main reasons why you're not where you want to be is the mismanagement of time. Once you take a second to look at your days, a 24-hour calendar, literally just Google it, a Google template, and you will see how much time you're leaving on the table to do the things that you need to do in order to be in the place that you want to be. There's nothing wrong with not knowing this sooner. I want to say this because we all come into information and knowing things at the intended time. I wasn't doing a 24-hour calendar. I wasn't really getting into productivity and time management in that sense till later on in life. Once I realized the power in that, I could get so much stuff done. Like to the point where I'd be like, oh, I did this, 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 and this before work. And my coworkers would be like, how did you do all of that before work? Like, I just woke up and rolled out. And that's because I knew how to manage my time. I would say, okay, these are the things that I need to get done this week. How would this be more beneficial? I would manage my time to the point where I managed family time and then individual time with my kids because that's important to me. The way you spend your time shows you what you care about the most. So I try to spend a lot of my time doing things that'll edify me and make me better and help me towards the goals and sort of things that I want to do. A lot of us are not using our time that way, and it shows. I don't want you to get so caught up in the monotony of life that you can like lose out on that hope for other things. You could come to a point in time where you feel overlooked at work. You're like, they're not checking for me, this, that, and the third. But you always look like you rolled out of bed. You have a hard time getting to work on time, or you be right on time. You might be mismanaging your time. I 9 times out of 10, it is a mismanagement of time. So this has been an episode of the From Her View podcast with me, Sade Camille. And if nothing else, I hope you got out of this that time management is key to unlocking the things that you want in the pivot. It's okay to come to a slump. We all have slumps. We all have a little down bad moment. But it's what you do to combat that is what truly matters. Once again, this is Sade Camille.